Okay. Whitney, thank you. Thank you, Maddie. All right. Unit 3, Lesson 2, Investigation 1. This is translations. Okay, now this is not translations like changing languages. Right? This is translations like taking a figure, and instead of reflecting it, that's where you like spin it around, right? And it's facing the opposite direction. This is where you take a figure and you move it so it stays facing the same direction. Okay? So instead of reflecting the image, we're going to take the image and we're going to slide it. Okay? So a translation is sliding an image, actually sliding a pre-image, a set distance and direction to produce an image. So you guys ever watched Toy Story before? You know when Buzz Lightyear walks across the screen?
Yes.
Okay. When Buzz Lightyear walks across the screen, his bottom half is moving, but his top half really isn't. So the way they do that in computer graphics is they take his torso and they just slide it across the computer screen. They translate it. Okay. So what we're doing right now is what they do when they're moving these Pixar characters across the screen. Right? So it's sliding a pre-image a set distance and direction to produce an image. Now what is this? What? A graph, right? Here's the x, here's the y. Good. Then we have A prime. Then we have B prime, C prime. D prime. No, do not do example 1. We're not going to be sliding any set. We're not going to be actually like doing ordered pairs. We're just going to be talking about it. All right. So that's an ordered pair, right? Now, how many directions can I move something on a graph? What are all the different directions I can move something? Up. What else? Down. What else? Left. What else? Right. So I can move a point. I can move it right. I can move it left. I can move a point up. Or I can move a point down, right? Right? Now, all of these examples I've just drawn here, some go left, some go right, some go up, some go down. Right? Which one goes left? Or sorry, which one goes right? Which one goes right? A to A prime, right? If I move from A to A prime, like that, we move to the right. Okay? What happens to A's x and y coordinates? Which one changes? The x, right? So when I move from A to A prime, I changed my x coordinate. How did I change it? Did I make it bigger or smaller? Bigger, because to the right is the positive x direction, right? If I move to the right, I'm moving in the positive x direction, right? So if I wanted to find a new coordinate of A prime, would I be adding a number or subtracting a number from my x? Would be adding. So if I'm moving to the right, that means we add to the x coordinate. Does that make sense? Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah.
What if I go from B to B prime? We're moving left, right? What's happening to my x values? Is it getting bigger or smaller? Smaller. So if I move to the left, that means I'm moving in the negative x direction. So if to the right was adding, if I move to the left, what do you think I'm going to do? Instead of adding, we're going to subtract, minus of the sign. Okay. subtract from the x-coordinate. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions?
Are we drawing the points on this graph?
You can if you want. I'm just using them to teach it to you, so if you just want to write down the directions, that's fine. But if you want to draw those, you may. Do not draw them on your orange graph, though. Draw them in your notes. That's what your question was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, draw them in your notes. So not in your example paper. All right, C to C prime, which way am I moving? Up. Does it matter that I'm on the negative y section? No, it doesn't matter, right? So I'm moving up when I go from C to C prime, right? So is that positive y or negative y direction? Positive y. Even though I'm below the x-axis, if I move up, I'm still moving in the positive y direction, right? If we're moving in the positive y direction, do you think we add to y or subtract from y? We add to y. So if we're moving up, we add to the y coordinates. And last one, if we go from D to D prime, we're moving down, right? Positive y or negative y? Negative y. This is the negative y direction. Right? So we go in the negative y direction. What do we do? Add or subtract? Subtract. So does that make sense, guys? Yeah. You guys think you got an idea of what we're going to be doing today? We're going to be translating, right? But not from Spanish to English. Or French to Spanish. No, the joke's bad. It was a joke until no one laughed. You guys must not want to do well. Let's see if I can get everything on my screen. Nope, I got it. It'll work. Okay, so we have our directions and we have example 13. Now let's start citing your notes. This is example 9 in your notes. Change it to example 13. And I have some reflection stuff that we did earlier. This is what's called a horizontal translation. So since we're doing a horizontal translation, I think we're moving the x or moving the y? Okay, we're moving the x. Okay, because the x is the horizontal axis. So horizontal translations mean we're moving the x. Right? So I'm going to plot A, B, C. Now you may remember A, B, C from previous examples. So A is -1, 5. You guys can do this on your example as well. B is 5, -1. And C is -4, 2. Right? I like to connect my figures. So we're going to connect A, B, and C. Not perfect, but that's all right. Oh, it all fit, just except for B. Now, we are going to move 2 units to the right. If anyone else wants a ruler, up here, anyone else need one? Tap yourself. All right, we're going to move 2 units to the right. So am I going to be moving in the positive x or negative x? We're going to be moving in the positive x, right? Anybody else? Anyone else? Yes, fine. So one way we can do this problem, right, is I can just start at A and I can move how many units to the right? 2. Okay. So I can say A is right here. I'm gonna go 2 units right. Ready? 1, 2. That's A prime. Does that make sense? Okay. I can start at B, I can go 1, 2. That's B prime. I can start at C and I can go 1, 2. And that is C prime. I moved everything 2 units to the right, didn't I? So I took the figure, I didn't change which way the vertices are pointing. I just grabbed it and I slid it to produce that figure, right? Still identical, I just moved it a little bit, right? That's one way we can think about it. Now I know in your examples it says something about a rule, right? All of our rules start out xy, right? If I'm moving 2 units right, is that positive x or negative x? Positive. So do I add 2 or subtract 2 from my x? Add. And since I'm moving to the right, do I do anything to my y's? No. So that's my rule. Okay. Does that make sense? This rule tells us what happens in this translation. Any questions about that? Guys, any questions? Okay. Now I said there's 2 ways, right? Right? One way was to count. The other way would be to make a list of A prime, B prime, C prime, and then just plot the points. Now, I would like you every time to make a list of A prime, B prime, and C prime, because it makes it easier for me to see that you know what you're doing. Right? So, A was at negative 1, 5, right?
Yeah.
So I do negative 1 plus 2. What's negative 1 plus 2? 1. Did I change my y coordinate? No, so it's 1, 5. And if I look, A is at 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exactly the right spot. Or I take my B. X is 5, right? 5 plus 2 is 7. Right? Do I do anything to my y's? No. So B is at 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's at 7, negative 1. Worked out. Right? C prime, negative 4 and 2. Which one do I change? Negative 4. So negative 4 plus 2 is negative 2. Don't do anything to my y. 2. If I look, negative 2, 2. Does that make sense? Does that make sense, guys? Yeah. All right, I'd like you to try X, Y, and Z. Okay. Write a rule and translate it. You can use either method 1 or method 2. Justin, you should put that down and focus on math. What? Okay. No, put it down. There you go. Take a seat and focus on math. All right, how we doing? A lot of rulers dropping. So that's a good thing. Right, doing the problem, that's good.
Are we still moving it over to
What?
30?
So we're doing X, Y, Z, and we're moving 3 units left, right?
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking
So left is positive X or negative X? Negative X. So are we adding to x or subtracting from x? Subtracting. Well, we know. X ends up off the grid. That's okay. It's just 1 unit off. Same with that. So if you get X off the grid, don't think you're doing wrong. All right, does anybody know what the rule is? XY becomes what? X minus 3 comma y. So we do not change our y, we just change our... We don't change our y, we just change our x, because this is a horizontal translation. Alright, so I'm going to start at x. I'm going to start with x. Now I'm going to do the other method first, then we'll see if we did it correctly by counting. Alright, so I have negative 5 comma 4, right? So you do negative 5 minus 3, right? Comma y. So what's negative 5 minus 3? Negative 8, and our y doesn't change, so it's negative 8, 4. So x prime is negative 8, 4. For y, 3, 3. 3 minus 3, right? What's that? 0, 3. Z prime, negative 1, negative 4. Negative 1 minus 3 is negative 4, so we have negative 4, negative 4. Does that make sense? Does that make sense, guys? Okay, now let's check. So negative 8, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's where x prime's at, right? We said 3 units left, didn't we? 1, 2, 3. Am I right?
Yes.
Am I right? Yeah. Y prime, 0, 3. 0, 1, 2, 3. 3 units left. 1, 2, 3. So is that one right? Z prime, negative 4, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 units. 1, 2, oh, sorry. 0, 1, 2, 3. So we're correct. That means here is our image. Does that make sense, guys? And ladies? Sorry. When I say guys, I just mean everybody. Any other questions? Anybody? So that was a horizontal translation. So what do you think the next one is? Vertical. So it will not look like that. Well, it'll start out like X, Y, Z, but I'm off the graph, so let's erase it. Right. So if I have a vertical translation, what am I changing now, X or Y? We're changing Y. So the last one was horizontal because we changed only X. This one's vertical because we're changing only Y. So, A, B, C. I want to move 4 units down. Is down positive Y or negative Y? Negative Y. So, we have our rule is X comma Y becomes what? Does X change? No, X does not change. Does Y change? Yes, what happens to Y? Subtract 4 because we're moving down. Perfect. So there's our rule. So it's saying take all of our pre-image points and subtract 4 from which coordinate? The Y coordinate. So we can plot A, B, C. Okay, guys, give this one a shot. Everybody give this one a shot. I'm working on it. That's not prime, that's just A. So how are we doing A? Need some help? No? Doesn't look like that.
Yeah, you did negative 2.
Ha, you're right. That's funny. I'm all excited. What about you guys are looking at me funny? Alright, so negative 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2. Now you guys can go home this weekend, show all your parents. Say, look, my math teacher can't plot points. Fire him. Right? No? Okay. Alright, so let's try this one. So we're taking our y's and doing what with them? We're taking our y's and doing what with them? Subtracting 4. Are we doing anything to our x's? No. So, because of vertical translation. So, my y, or my image points, all the x's will be the same. Right? They'll be exactly what they were before. But to find my y coordinate, we have to take the pre-image y and subtract what? 4. So 5 minus 4 for A. 5 minus 4 is 1. Right? Negative 1 minus 4 is negative 5. Good. 2 minus 4. Negative 2. So those are my image coordinates, right? Right?
Yeah.
So I could plot those, or I could just count. Either way, I should end up with negative 1, 1, 5, negative 5, and negative 4, negative 2. So I'm just going to count this time. So I'm moving down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. C prime. 1, 2, 3, 4. A prime. 1, 2, 3, 4. B prime. And if I look, these coordinates are exactly what I predicted. Negative 1, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. Negative 4, negative 2. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Negative 5, 5. So does that one make sense? Does that make sense? Any questions? Questions? Okay. Well, the next one. X, Y, Z, we're translating which way? Up. Right? So, am I adding to Y or subtracting from Y, Sandra? Adding to Y or subtracting? Adding. Perfect, because we're moving up, so it makes our Y's bigger. Right? So, in our rule, it's going to be X comma Y becomes... Does X change? No. Just Y does. How does Y change? Add 3. Good. So that's our rule, right? Right? Okay. How much time do you need to do this one? 2 minutes. All right, 2 minutes. Ready, set, go. Start the watch. Just joking. If you are all done and you want to move on, you can go on to the back of that page and just start thinking about it. But in a second, come back and check your answer with me, though, to make sure they did that one. Yeah, Tony. Move down, move up 3. Perfect. You get to it up. Perfect. It's been 2 minutes? No?
I don't care.
Okay. Guess I should have started the timer. Alright, let's give it a shot. Anybody know the coordinate of x prime? Raise your hand if you know. Coordinate of x prime. Bruno. Negative 5, 7. How'd you get 7? Perfect. You added 3 to 4. Didn't change your x. Y prime. Tony. 3, 6. How'd you get a 6? You moved 3 up, right? So you added 3 to your y. Perfect. Didn't change x. Z prime. What was that, Maddie? And how'd you get negative 1?
I added 3 to
Good. Did you change your x? No. So we just went vertical. So we moved everybody up. 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. X prime, y prime, z prime. Just like that. Any questions? Any questions? Anybody try the back yet? Anybody try the back? Yeah? Okay. Look at the back. Part A. Now this one is called, I just have example 15 translations. They're really called oblique translations. Okay. Just like the muscle. Oblique translations. Like I said, the second B doesn't get capitalized. Now this is called an oblique translation because it moves it 2 ways, right? Just like your oblique muscle, it moves it 2 ways. It can turn you, and it can bend you, right? So your oblique muscle moves you in 2 ways, and these translations called oblique translations move you in 2 directions. So for A, we're going to be moving in the X and in the Y. Okay. So I'm going 2 units up. Does that affect X or Y? Y. What does it do to Y? Add or subtract? We add to Y, right? So my result, I'm going to have X comma Y in my rule. I'm going to get Y plus 2 at the end, right?
Yeah.
What happens to the X?
Subtract 3.
Subtract. Why subtract?
Because it's moving to the left.
Moving to the left. So I take these points, negative 5, 1, or negative 1, 5. 5, negative 1. Take graph C correctly this time. Negative 4, 2. How'd I do? Good. So I'm taking this figure and we are moving it left and up. So we're going 3 to the left. 1, 2, 3, and up 2. To that point right there. That is A prime. That point is negative 1 minus 3, which is negative 4, right? 5 plus 2, which is 7. So A prime is at negative 4, 7. B prime, 3 left, up 2. 3 left, 5 becomes, 5 minus 3 is 2. Negative 1 plus 2 is 1. C, 3 left, up 2. So C prime is negative 4 minus 3, negative 7. 2 plus 2 is 4. So I slid in 2 directions. Does that make sense? Okay. Before we try B on our own, let's write the rule. X comma Y becomes what? 4 units right, 3 units down.
X plus 4 with X minus 3.
Okay. So X plus 4, and what was the other one? y minus 3. So can you try that one on your own?